stem, then you have black note with a stem and little piece coming out, right? That's a half note, and then you have quarter note and so on, right? And more pieces as the time becomes smaller. So, but here it means that this is how you put it on a thing on music sheet, and here you do it with time: 0.5 seconds, 0.25 seconds, 1 second, whether you want it to last 1 second or longer, or you can play twice. The same note you play twice, it's almost the same thing as playing it, except that of course on the keyboard that's not the same thing, right? You play it, you play it for 1 second, you push the key for 1 second. And if you play it twice, you push 1 second, then you remove, then you push back again half a second, right? Half second. But theoretically, you're supposed to hit the key twice, which is not the same thing when you play, right? Whether you keep your finger for 1 second or you tap twice in 1 second, that's not the same thing, right? The way you play. But just to give you an idea in music, right? And then what happens? Then they create a piece of music by putting the notes one after the other. Like in this case, he adds delays. Delays in this case, he created the delays as zero frequency sine wave. Or, better yet, you can create them with an amplitude of 0 times sine. Except that in this case, since the time is important, right? Either way, that means for 0.5 seconds, nothing gets to be played. That's what we call it a delay. Delay meaning for 0.5 seconds, nothing. Like when you want the time in between two notes, right? Da, 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 right? Some time in between where you play nothing, right? No sound, right? So it's not like you keep the finger on the key. You just let it go, right? And no sound. Right? So those are called delays. So he's got delays of 0.5 seconds, 0.15 seconds, 0.4 seconds. Obviously, if he's a musician, he will know how much time in between notes he wants to remain. And then you put these together. Remember the concatenation, appending, putting arrays together. So in this case, you create the first one, G4, delay, C5. That means the first note, delay, second note, delay, and it will play in succession, like consecutive. But then there are so many notes. So instead of putting a line which is very long, he created multiple lines where he put the other notes, and then he created an array, which is this one, append this one, and so on, all the way until you append all the notes, right? And then he plays this one, music one, at a given rate, right? You can play it faster, you can play it slower, right? That's up to you, right? That means regardless of the time he chose, he can decide the tempo, right? And he just plays it, right? And this is what you get when you play it. Then if you go to a different file, let's see here, like this one here, it's based on the same thing. So obviously these you can copy and paste. I mean, they're standard, except for the time. The time you decide. The frequency you cannot decide, right? It's standard. But the time, it's up to you to decide how much note gets to be played, and you put the amount that you need. Here's an example where, I'm sorry, I say these, but I'm not sharing, right? So, this is the third case. Obviously, in this case, he put all that in a single row, right? In a single row for the notes, right? Now, in the last one, I wanted to show you how to play chords, right? You've got, again, the same frequencies, right? The same frequencies that are given here for the note that you cannot play with. But also, he's got the time. Each time is different. Like instead of 0.5 seconds, like in some of the file, one that is 0.2, 0.3, and then he uses the right one for the notes whenever he feels like it, right? But most importantly, he created two arrays. That means R and L are two different sounds, right? So if you play R, you play these notes. If you play L, you play these notes, right? But he says, let's play R and then L. So it's not like one after the other, because then what's the difference between that and the previous one? When you do it through the two different commands like this, that means it plays the first note of R with the first note of L, second note of R, second note of L together, right? So it's kind of like playing chords, right? So let's say if I put a here, a percent, then it's going to play only R, right? It's not going to play, sorry, not there. What am I saying? Let's put it here. That means not execute this, right? So you're gonna hear this. Then I play the second one. So I ignore the first one and I play the second one. Now I play them together, kind of like chords, right? Now you see how the chord is played, whereas before the first three were just about single notes, right? One array, and you play it as one array, right? Whether you present them into multiple arrays, then you present them as one array at the end. But here you have two arrays, but the two arrays are not like played. There's a difference between playing R and L when you put them together, like R, comma L. That plays the first note of R all the way to the last one, then the first note of L all the way to the last one. But here, when you play them like 60-61, it means it's a chord, right? First note of R, first note of L, second note of R, second note of L. So your project would be to create a file. I don't care. I don't need it to be sophisticated, but create some music file that you think is worth showing. I don't want you to be an artist. If you're an artist, maybe I expect a good piece of music, but I don't want you to copy things from somewhere, because if I don't know that my students are artists themselves, then I say, okay, you copied it from somewhere, and you'll have like 5 or 6 out of 10, guaranteed, even if it's beautiful. But if you do it yourself and you try your best, you may have a 9 out of 10, even if it sounds not so good. So in this case, well, if you're going to be an engineer, you better be an artist, because who do you think the best artists are? The engineers. They're mathematicians in their head. They're scientists. They have the sense of fractions. They have the sense of a lot of things. Does that mean you can write the song? Do you have a beautiful voice? No, but you have an idea. You can listen and pay attention, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Even if you cannot say it, but you can see how that evolution exists, right? You can have an idea when you listen to somebody sing, whether it makes sense or not, whether the transitions make sense, whether the notes make sense or it's the wrong notes, and so on, right? You should be able to, even if you don't have a beautiful voice. And yes, all engineers are supposed to be artists. So, any questions? I was going to deal with that problem, but I don't think we have enough time. So the only thing I want from you is, for the next time, is the same problems you had here, that you had last week, for this week, that is to submit this week, and you just have to use the global commands. That's all. So it's exactly the same. Well, we have done already, but I'm just saying, right? That means you have to use the global command. That's the only difference between last week and this week. Any questions? Absolutely all. And all of them are team, not individual, right? And that means one single report per group. One single report per group. And it's one total, right? And each, I will give you the specification, but each part has to have its own cover page, right? And all of them are done through MATLAB, no matter what it says, right? I went together, together with your team, right? Hopefully, not with everybody else, Yeah. Anyway, who is not present today somehow? I'm not sure. Let me see. Okay. Here, Nicholas is here. Shafiq is here. Darien was here. Chenui, Christian, David. Solis is here. Alexander is here. Oh no, everybody was here today. All right. If you have anything to say, please say it. Otherwise, by the way, I am impressed with you as a class. Of course, I'm impressed with Alexandro and David and Shafiq, but also Christian and Nicholas and everybody else who provided the contribution to the class today. I'm hoping that it will continue next time. And of course, as Alexandro said, we'll hold Christian to his promise next time, hopefully. Yes, thank you, guys. I really, you made it fun, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Alexandro, again, for putting pressure on you. All right, see you next time. Be healthy.